The Queen doesn't pay taxes. Did you know that? Not because she's exempt, but because her money never touches British soil. It's in the Cayman Islands, in Jersey, in the British Virgin Islands. All British territories, all offshore, all untaxable. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is literally how the system works. And I watched it from the inside. Working in the city of London, I processed transactions for Russian oligarchs, Saudi princes, African dictators, and yes, even British royalty. Trillions of dollars flowing through shell companies, trusts, and offshore accounts. All completely legal, all completely hidden, and all protected by the most powerful financial system in the world. My name is James, and for 12 years I worked inside the machine. This is the story they don't want you to hear. Let me take you back to September 2005. I had just graduated from the London School of Economics with a master's in international finance. Top of my class. Job offers from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and a boutique firm in the city of London called Sterling Trust Services. I chose Sterling, not because of the money, though it was excellent, but because they promised something different. We help successful people navigate complex international tax structures, the recruiter said. It's sophisticated, it's legal, and it's essential for the global economy. It sounded prestigious, important, like I'd be helping the world work better. My first day, they gave me a tour of the office, a beautiful Georgian building on King William Street, right in the heart of the city. You could see the Bank of England from the window. "Welcome to the Square Mile," my supervisor Richard said. "This is the most important financial district in the world. Not New York, not Hong Kong. Here, because we understand something that Americans don't. Privacy matters more than transparency." I didn't understand what he meant then. I do now. Richard handed me my first case file. A client from Russia. Net worth $3.2 billion. Industry, natural resources. He wants to buy property in London. 3 houses. Total value, £85 million. Your job is to structure the ownership so that his name appears nowhere. I blinked. Why doesn't he just buy them normally? Richard smiled. Would you want everyone knowing where you live? Would you want your name attached to assets that could be seized in a divorce, a lawsuit, or a political dispute? Our clients value privacy. We provide it. It made sense. Privacy isn't a crime. Wealthy people have legitimate reasons to protect themselves. So I got to work. Let me explain how we did it, because this is important. You need to understand that everything we did was completely legal. Here's the basic structure. Step 1. Create a shell company in the British Virgin Islands, BVI. The BVI is a British overseas territory in the Caribbean. Beautiful islands. But more importantly, companies registered there don't have to disclose their owners. You can set one up in 24 hours. Costs about $2,000. We created a BVI company called Serenity Holdings Limited. On paper, it's a legitimate business. In reality, it's an empty box. No employees, no office, no business activity. Just a name and a registration number. Step 2. Have the BVI company own another company in Jersey. Jersey is a small island between England and France. Also a British territory. Also a tax haven. We created a Jersey company called Westminster Properties Limited. This company was owned by Serenity Holdings, the BVI company. So now we have 2 layers. Step 3. Have the Jersey company own the London properties. Westminster Properties Ltd Jersey buys the 3 London houses. Value £85 million. Now, if you look at UK property records, you'll see the houses are owned by Westminster Properties Limited. If you investigate Westminster, you'll find it's owned by Serenity Holdings Ltd in the BVI. And if you investigate Serenity, dead end. The BVI doesn't disclose ownership. Our Russian client's name appears nowhere. He controls everything. He owns nothing. Step 4. Add a trust for extra protection. But we didn't stop there. We created a trust in the Cook Islands, another British-linked territory in the Pacific. The trust technically owned the BVI company. Now there are 4 layers between the client and the assets. And trusts are even more opaque than companies. The result? Our client effectively owns £85 million in London property. But legally, he owns nothing. No taxes in Russia, no taxes in the UK, no public record, complete anonymity. This entire structure took me 3 days to set up. And it was 100% legal. Over the next few years, I became very good at my job. Very good. I was promoted to senior structuring advisor. My salary tripled. I moved into a nice flat in South Kensington. I was living the dream, and the clients kept coming. Let me tell you about some of them. The oligarch, Russian, made his fortune during the privatization of state assets in the 1990s. Basically, he bought oil fields for pennies when the Soviet Union collapsed. Now worth $7 billion. He had properties in London, Monaco, New York, and Dubai. We structured them all through offshore companies. He also had 2 super yachts. Combined value, $800 million. When I asked why he needed 2 yachts, he laughed. One is for the Mediterranean summer. One is for the Caribbean winter. You think I want to waste time moving them? I helped him set up a Maltese foundation to own the yachts. Malta has special maritime laws. The yachts fly Maltese flags but are controlled through a Cayman Islands trust. His total tax bill on $7 billion? Less than what a London taxi driver pays. The dictator's family, West African country. The president had been in power for 28 years. His country was one of the poorest in the world. Average income, $2 per day. His son came to us. He wanted to buy a £30 million apartment in Kensington. He also wanted to buy a private jet. And he wanted his younger brother to attend a £40,000 per year British boarding school. We set it all up. Shell companies, trusts, anonymous bank accounts. The money came from consulting fees and mining royalties. On paper, everything looked legitimate. But we all knew where it really came from. The National Treasury, foreign aid, IMF loans meant to build schools and hospitals. I remember thinking, this is wrong. But I told myself I was just doing my job. I wasn't stealing the money. I was just moving it. The arms dealer. This one still haunts me. He wasn't on any sanctions lists. He wasn't technically a criminal. But he sold weapons. Lots of them. To anyone who could pay. He wanted to buy a £50 million estate in the Cotswolds. A beautiful property. Historic manor. Rolling hills. Very English. We structured it through 6 different companies in 4 different jurisdictions. The final ownership chain was so complex that even I couldn't follow it without my notes. When the structure was complete, Richard congratulated me. Brilliant work, James. This is why we pay you the big money. I went home that night and couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the weapons, where they went, who used them. But the next morning I went back to work. Because that's what you do. You compartmentalize. You might be wondering, how is all this legal? How does the UK government allow this? The answer is complicated, and it goes back 800 years. The City of London isn't actually part of London. Not really. It's a separate jurisdiction. It has its own government, the City of London Corporation, its own police force, City of London Police, and its own laws. When the King visits the city, he has to ask permission from the Lord Mayor. The Lord Mayor of London is more powerful within the square mile than the King himself. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is documented history. The city has had special privileges since the Magna Carta in 1215. Over the centuries, it negotiated exemptions from various laws. It became essentially a state within a state. And crucially, the city has always been about finance. For 800 years, it's been the center of British banking, trade, and money. In the 1950s, as the British Empire was collapsing, British bankers had a problem. The empire had generated enormous wealth for centuries. But now, the colonies were becoming independent. The money was drying up. So they came up with a brilliant solution. Keep the empire. Just make it financial instead of territorial. The British territories that remained, the Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands, Jersey, Guernsey, Isle of Man, Gibraltar, Bermuda, were transformed into tax havens. These territories are technically independent for most purposes. They have their own governments, but they're ultimately under British protection. And crucially, their financial regulations are overseen by the City of London. The result? The British Empire never ended. It just went offshore. Today, the British overseas territories and crown dependencies hold more wealth than any empire in history. Estimates range from $21 trillion to $32 trillion. That's trillion, with a T, and it all flows through London. April 3rd, 2016. A Sunday evening. I was at home, having dinner, when my phone started buzzing. Messages from colleagues. Panicked calls from clients. I turned on the news. Massive data leak exposes secret offshore dealings of world leaders and celebrities. 11.5 million documents from Panamanian law firm Mossack Fonseca. The Panama Papers. My blood went cold. Mossack Fonseca was a law firm in Panama that specialized in creating offshore structures. Just like we did in London, they had clients all over the world. Politicians, athletes, celebrities, criminals. An anonymous whistleblower had leaked their entire database to journalists. And now, the world was seeing how the offshore system really worked. Over the next few days, the revelations kept coming. The Prime Minister of Iceland resigned after it was revealed he had millions hidden offshore. Vladimir Putin's close friends were exposed moving billions through shell companies. The families of Chinese Communist Party leaders had secret offshore wealth. Dozens of dictators, warlords, and corrupt officials were named. It was everywhere. Headlines around the world. People were outraged. But here's the thing. Everyone in the industry knew this was just the tip of the iceberg. Mossack Fonseca was one firm in Panama. There are hundreds of firms doing the same thing in the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Jersey, Switzerland, Singapore, and yes, London. The Panama Papers represented maybe 2 to 3% of the total offshore system. I remember a meeting at Sterling the week after the leak. Richard addressed the whole company. "Gentlemen," he said, "some of you may be concerned about recent events. Let me assure you we have nothing to worry about. Our structures are completely legal. Our clients are vetted. And most importantly, our jurisdiction, the City of London, is protected." He was right. None of our clients were named in the Panama Papers. We were too careful, too sophisticated. But that's when I started having doubts. It was late 2016, about 6 months after the Panama Papers. I was working on a new case, a client from Azerbaijan. Oil money. He wanted to move $400 million through our system. During the due diligence process, I started researching the client's background. Standard procedure. We needed to verify the source of funds. His official biography said he was a successful businessman in the oil sector, self-made, entrepreneur. But when I dug deeper, I found something different. He wasn't a businessman. He was the nephew of Azerbaijan's president. He'd never worked in oil. He'd been given his company by his uncle, who controlled the entire country's oil industry, and the $400 million. It came from a single contract awarded by the Azerbaijani state oil company. No competitive bidding. No transparency. In other words, he stole $400 million from the Azerbaijani people, and we were going to help him hide it. I went to Richard's office. "Richard, I have concerns about the Azerbaijan case. The source of funds seems questionable." He looked up from his computer. "Did he pass our KYC checks?" KYC, know your customer. The basic compliance requirements. "Technically, yes, but..." Then we proceed. "James, our job is not to judge our clients. Our job is to provide legal structuring services. If the money is legally obtained in his jurisdiction, and our paperwork is in order, we have no reason to refuse." "But Richard, he's the president's nephew. This is obviously..." "James." His voice hardened. "We are not the police. We are not journalists. We are professionals providing a service. If you're uncomfortable with that, perhaps this isn't the right career for you." I left his office, and I thought about that statement. We are not the police. That's the whole game, isn't it? Everyone passes responsibility to someone else. The law firm says, We just create legal structures. If the money is dirty, that's not our problem. The bank says, we just process transactions. If the companies are shell companies, that's not our problem. The government says, we just enforce our own laws. If the money came from overseas, that's not our problem. And around it goes. Nobody's responsible. Everyone profits. I went home that night and I did something I'd been avoiding for years. I calculated exactly how much money I'd moved through offshore structures. $47 billion. $47 billion had passed through structures I'd created or managed. I thought about where that money came from. I thought about where it could have gone instead. Schools, hospitals, infrastructure, the people it was stolen from. And I thought, how did I become this person? November 5th, 2017. Another Sunday. Another massive leak. The Paradise Papers. 13.4 million documents. This time from a firm called Appleby, which specialized in offshore structures in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. More revelations. The Queen's private estate had invested millions in offshore tax havens. Apple had moved billions through Jersey to avoid taxes. Facebook, Nike, and other major corporations had elaborate offshore structures. More politicians. More oligarchs. More secret wealth. This leak hit closer to home, because Appleby worked closely with City of London firms, including Sterling. Within 48 hours, 3 of our clients were named in the Paradise Papers. Their offshore structures were exposed. Their reputations destroyed. The office was in chaos. Clients were demanding we destroy documents. Partners were having emergency meetings. Junior staff were terrified they'd be implicated. But Richard remained calm. In a company-wide email, he wrote, "To all staff, despite sensationalist media coverage, Sterling Trust Services has acted lawfully at all times. We are confident in our compliance procedures. Business will continue as normal. Remain professional. Do not speak to media. Do not discuss clients. Loyalty will be rewarded." That last line stuck with me. Loyalty will be rewarded. I looked at my salary. £320,000 per year.
Plus bonus. Plus profit sharing.
That was the price of my loyalty. The price of my silence. But something had shifted in me. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. I couldn't unknow what I knew. I started keeping copies of documents. Not to leak them, I wasn't ready for that. But just in case. Around this time, I started researching the Panama Papers whistleblower. Whoever they were, they'd risked everything to expose the truth. And then I learned about the journalists. Daphne Caruana Galizia, an investigative journalist in Malta who exposed corruption linked to offshore accounts. In October 2017, she was killed by a car bomb. Jan Kuciak, a Slovak journalist investigating offshore money and organized crime. In February 2018, he and his fiancée were murdered in their home. These weren't accidents. These were assassinations. The message was clear. If you expose the offshore system, you pay the price. I thought about my own situation. I had a good life, a great apartment, savings, promising career. Was I really going to throw all that away? Was I really going to become a whistleblower? I told myself, I'm just one person. What difference would it make? But then I'd see the news. Another corrupt leader buying property in London. Another tax haven revealed. Another $1 trillion hidden offshore. And I'd think, I'm part of this. Every day I go to work, I'm making this worse. In June 2018, I made my decision. I was working on a case involving a client from Equatorial Guinea, one of Africa's most corrupt countries. The president had been in power for 40 years. His son, the vice president, was notorious for his lavish lifestyle while his country suffered in poverty. The son wanted to buy a £250 million superyacht. I was supposed to structure the purchase through shell companies so it couldn't be traced back to him. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I walked into Richard's office and resigned. He was shocked. "James, what's this about? Are you unhappy? We can discuss a raise."
A promotion.
"Whatever you need." "It's not about money, Richard. It's about, I can't do this anymore. Do what? Your job? You're one of our best structuring advisors. What's the problem? The problem is that we're helping dictators and oligarchs steal from their own people. The problem is that we're facilitating the greatest wealth transfer in history. The problem is that what we're doing is legal, but it's not right. Richard's expression hardened. James, you signed an NDA. You have confidentiality obligations. I hope you're not planning to do anything foolish. I'm not planning to do anything. I just don't want to be part of this anymore. I left that day. I didn't serve out notice. I just left. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. So why am I telling you all this? Why am I risking legal action, career suicide, and who knows what else? Because you need to understand how the system works. And more importantly, you need to understand why it doesn't change. Here's what I learned in my 12 years inside the offshore industry. 1. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The offshore system isn't a loophole. It's not an accident. It's deliberately designed to allow wealth to flow out of poor countries into rich countries. The British territories that serve as tax havens? The UK could shut them down tomorrow if it wanted to. But it doesn't, because London benefits enormously from being the center of the system. 2. Legal doesn't mean right. Everything I did was legal. Every structure I created complied with the law. But legality and morality are not the same thing. The laws were written by people who benefit from the system. Of course, they made their behavior legal. 3. The middle class pays for everything. When billionaires and corporations pay zero taxes, governments don't just shrug and accept less revenue. They raise taxes on everyone else. That's you, the middle class, the people who can't afford offshore structures. You're funding the roads, schools, hospitals, and military while the ultra-wealthy contribute nothing. 4. Nothing will change unless people demand it. The politicians won't fix this. Many of them use offshore structures themselves. The Paradise Papers revealed that. The financial industry won't fix it. They're making billions from it. The only way this changes is if regular people understand the system and demand reform. That's why I'm speaking out. So what's the solution? How do we stop this? Here are some ideas. 1. Public registries of company ownership. Shell companies only work because nobody knows who owns them. If every company had to publicly disclose its true owners, the whole system would collapse overnight. Some countries are moving in this direction, but not the UK. Not yet. 2. Close the tax havens. The British overseas territories should be forced to comply with the same financial regulations as the UK mainland. No exceptions. No special privileges. The UK Parliament has the power to do this. They choose not to. 3. Minimum corporate tax rates. In 2021, the G7 agreed on a global minimum corporate tax rate of 15%. It's a start, but it needs to be higher and it needs to be enforced. 4. Penalties for enablers. The law firms, banks, and accounting firms that facilitate offshore structures should face real penalties if they help launder dirty money. Right now, the worst that happens is a small fine. That's just the cost of doing business. 5. Protect whistleblowers. People who expose corruption and offshore money should be protected, not prosecuted. Daphne Caruana Galizia and Jan Cusick were murdered for their journalism. That should never happen. Here's where things stand today. After the Panama Papers and Paradise Papers, there was a lot of outrage. Politicians promised reform. Journalists won Pulitzers. And then, nothing really changed. Sure, a few people were prosecuted. A few firms paid fines. Mossack Fonseca shut down. But the offshore system is still there. Still functioning. Still moving trillions of dollars. In fact, since I left the industry in 2018, it's only grown larger. According to the Tax Justice Network, approximately $32 trillion is now hidden in offshore tax havens. That's $32 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire GDP of the United States and China combined. That's enough money to end world hunger 160 times over. That's enough to give every person on Earth $4,000. But instead, it's sitting in shell companies, trusts, and offshore accounts, controlled by a tiny fraction of the world's population. The city of London remains the center of this system. British territories still dominate the offshore world. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Why? Because the people who have the power to change it are the same people who benefit from it. I know this all sounds overwhelming. You might be thinking, I'm just one person. What can I do? Here's what you can do. 1. Understand the system. You're already doing this by watching this video. Knowledge is power. The offshore system only works because most people don't understand it. 2. Vote for politicians who support reform. Look at your representatives. Do they support closing tax havens? Public registries of ownership? Higher taxes on the ultra-wealthy? If not, vote them out. 3. Support investigative journalism. The Panama Papers and Paradise Papers happened because of brave journalists at organizations like the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. These organizations need funding. Support them. 4. Demand transparency. When you hear about politicians, celebrities, or business people using offshore structures, ask, why? What are they hiding? Don't accept privacy as an excuse. Privacy is one thing. Secrecy is another. 5. Spread awareness. Share this video. Talk about this issue. The more people understand the offshore system, the harder it becomes to maintain. I'm not a hero. Let me be clear about that. I spent 12 years helping oligarchs, dictators, and corrupt officials hide their money. I made a lot of money doing it. I lived well. I'm not trying to redeem myself by speaking out now. The damage is done. The wealth I helped move is gone. It's not coming back. But I can't stay silent anymore. Every time I see a news story about crumbling schools, underfunded hospitals, or cuts to public services, I think, there's money for that. Trillions of dollars. It's just hidden offshore. Every time I see poverty statistics, I think, this is a choice. We've chosen to let the ultra-wealthy hoard resources while billions suffer. The offshore system isn't inevitable. It's not a natural law. It's a human creation, which means humans can change it. But first, people need to understand it. That's why I'm telling this story. I worked in the city of London. I saw how the machine works. And I'm telling you, it's worse than you think. The British Empire didn't end. It just became financial. And from a 1 square mile area in the heart of London, it continues to drain wealth from every country on Earth. This is legal. This is respectable. This is how the world works. But it doesn't have to be this way. So what do you think? Does this change how you see the financial system? Does it make you angry? Does it make you want to do something? Leave a comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Have you been affected by offshore tax avoidance? Do you think the system can be changed? And if you found this video valuable, if you learned something you didn't know, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video with people who need to understand how the offshore world really works. Because the only way this changes is if enough people know about it and demand reform. My name is James. I spent 12 years inside the offshore machine. And this is the truth they don't want you to know. Thank you for watching. And remember, the system isn't broken. The system is working exactly as designed. The question is, are you going to accept it? See you in the next one.